Hi, Adonis here. 123 Pet Bulls, Pit Bull training specialist. We're going to discuss the origin of the Pit Bull breed, and that stems from the progenitor. The original progenitor of this breed is the original Bull and Terrier mixes of the early 1800s. Other names for this were at the time they were called half and halves and half-breeds. It was time in history when, for thousands of years, dogs were classified by use or function. Unlike the modern pets of today that were bred to be conformation, show dogs, and family pets. Bull and Terrier crosses were originally bred to function as fighting dogs for bull and bear baiting and other popular blood sports during the Victorian era. The sport of bull baiting required a dog with attributes such as tenacity and courage, a wide frame with heavy bone, and muscular, protruding jaws. By crossing bulldogs with various terriers from Ireland and Great Britain, breeders introduced gameness and agility into the hybrid mix. So what we have to imagine here is that the gameness, which a lot of people would point to the American Pit Bull Terrier as a prime example of gameness, and that means the willingness to gameness is it's courage when the odds are against you or whatever the case may be, and even to your detriment, you're willing to fight. That's gameness. Little is known about the pedigrees of Bull and Terrier crosses or any other crosses that originated during that time. The types and styles of dogs vary geographically depending on individual preferences. So this is there were many of these breeders that were making these mixes. You have to imagine some maybe planned and some not planned. Some maybe just had a terrier and a bulldog in the same house. But the agility, the gameness and agility brought together by these two breeds, the bulldog and terrier. Knock it off. Bad. Willie, leave it. All right. We are, there's dogs out right now. And there's actually dogs in training that are out right now. And I don't have to, not have to hear with a remote collar. These dogs are responding to verbal direction and in a domestic setting. They're not in the backyard. That 8-month-old puppy over there is sitting on a couch. There are cats wandering around. All right. Quiet, Willie. Susie, quiet. So if the agility came from the terriers, the gameness came from the bulldog. And yet the bulldog was a dog that was meant to pin down bulls. It was meant to grab a bull by its cheek and hold it down. A bull is much bigger than a bulldog. That's where the gameness comes from. So the gameness existed before the pit bull. Something that pit bull enthusiasts, people that discuss pit bulls, might overlook. It's very important to approach information with an open mind and impartial mindset. And in doing so, you can learn much more than someone who approaches the information with a closed mind. Little is known about the pedigrees of the Bull and Terrier crosses of this time. The types and styles of the dogs vary geographically. Breeders in one area may have preferred a cross with a higher percentage of terrier than bulldog. Some earlier anecdotal reports indicate that bulldog to terrier was preferred over bull and terrier, and bull terrier, which was likely to have resulted in at least half or more bulldog blood. So the people preferred more bullier varieties of this breed. So when you say pit bull, we're really looking at something that has to exhibit some amount of terrier within its genetic makeup. Otherwise, we're just talking bully breeds. Like so, not all bullies are pit bulls. Not all bully breeds are pit bulls, but all pit bulls are bully breeds. The Bull and Terrier was never a bona fide breed, rather, it referred to a heterogeneous group of dogs that may include purebreds involving different breeds, as well as dogs believed to be crosses of those breeds. Those crossbreeds or hybrids are considered the forerunners of several modern standardized breeds. In the mid 1830s, when enforcement of we're only going back to 200 years here, and we're talking about these mixed dogs being the forerunner to several modern standardized breeds. So there might be breeds, popular breeds today, Labradoodles, for example, American bullies, exotic bullies, where you might actually see breeders still working out the kinks in those dogs, fixing issues, hopefully, that occur in producing a healthier dog. In the mid 1830s, when enforcement of the ban in bull baiting had begun, the popularity of original purebred bulldogs declined. So, mid 1830s is when we're talking about enforcements on bans on bull baiting. So, this is a sport where the dogs are used to bait bulls. Kind of like I'd imagine a matador or something. The appearance of certain dogs were being altered by crossbreeding to better suit function. Not only were appearances of dogs changing, so was the terminology used to describe various breeds and dog types as recorded in ancient records. Such changes began casting doubts over the bulldog's earliest known ancestors. All right, so we are looking at a picture here of looks like a Pilot was acclaimed the best dog in the world, and many breeders bred their bitches to him. The foundation stock of most bloodlines in America today trace back to this great little dog who was imported from England. Well, this is a black and white picture. But based on the tones here, I don't know if you'll get this here, but this is the picture we're looking at. You'd imagine the color of his clothes and the lightness of this dog here, the lightness of his skin. This is white. This is white. This is like a skin color. And this is somewhat like a skin color, maybe. Some dark here. Some brindling, maybe. Cropped ears. You're saying that dog is the origin of Most bloodlines in America today. Wow. One example of how changing terminology over the centuries has caused confusion is the misuse of descriptors. For example, a mastiff is a common descriptor for all large dogs, which creates a cloud over the earliest origins of the bulldog. The Elant, which was once believed to be the likely ancestor of bulldogs and mastiffs, both of which came from Asia, others believe bulldogs descended only from mastiffs. Interesting. Over the centuries, hybrid bull and terrier crosses have been labeled with several aliases such as half and half, half-bred, pit dog, bulldog terrier, and pit bulldog. The most popular name was bull terrier, a name later applied to the breed James Hinks was developing in the latter half of the 19th century. There are also many paintings, texts, and engravings created during or prior to this period that labeled the bull and terrier only as bull terrier. Hinks was still developing his new bull terrier, nicknamed White Cavalier, which he presented at the Birmingham show in May 1862. The term pit bull terrier was sometimes applied, though later applied when naming the American pit bull terrier, a modern standardized breed. Okay, so American pit bull terrier, modern standardized breed. Not acknowledged by the AKC. Modern standardized breed. The term pit bull is ubiquitous, a term that is often misused to infer that the pit bull is a bona fide breed of dog, when it actually refers to a diverse group of dogs that may include purebred dogs of many breeds, as well as dogs that are assumed to be a blend of these breeds. So, as what we were just discussing earlier, these types of descriptors vary depending on recognized breeds and observers' perspectives. Despite anecdotal information and incorrect visual identification, dog owners, animal shelters, veterinarians, and the general public routinely use the term pit bull in casual and official papers as though it denotes a single recognized breed. That's something to recognize, call out, and check in those terms exactly. These types of descriptors vary depending on the recognized breed and observer's perspective. Despite anecdotal information and incorrect visual identification, dog owners, animal shelters, veterinarians, and the general public routinely use the term pit bull in casual and official papers as though it denotes a single recognized breed. But the term pit bull is not all pit bulls are American pit bull terriers. All American pit bull terriers are pit bulls. The American pit bull terrier is a brand of pit bull, a standardized brand of pit bull that is the American pit bull terrier. Bulldogs of the 1800s were described as having a round head, short nose, small ears, and wide muscular frames and legs. Their temperament has been described as being more aggressive and ferocious than other dogs at the time. It is believed that their ancestors may have been mastiffs or Asian descent because of their aggressive tendencies and strength. But the term mastiff was used as a general preference for large dogs. Whether or not they were crossed with pugs to make them better at bull baiting remains controversial. Mastiffs crossed with pugs. Wow. The way people think of crossbreeding dogs nowadays is almost um, kind of closed-minded, I guess, if you consider all the diversity that's been achieved by these breeding. So you just have to imagine just the earlier versions of these dogs before the correct lines are standardized. You might have litters where some of the dogs are not inheriting all of the best parts that are suited for the body they inherited. For example, if you have a Rottweiler crossed with a Yorkshire Terrier, uh, the the traits of the heart might not be suitable for the size of the dog that it could be, because I think the two genetic pools make a bigger pool, but that one life that represents a cup taking water from that big pool all mixed up. With the dominant stuff rising to the top, the other stuff settling, but still there, present to potentially be passed on in the future, if not for breeding that aims for standardization. It is assumed that Bull and Terrier hybrids were crossed with several varieties of Bulldogs and Terriers, the types of which depended on location. A 2016 genetic assessment verified that Bulldogs were descendants of Mastiffs, but it also discovered Pugs in the cross. The assessment, which analyzed a particular group of individuals, English Bulldogs, used DNA rather than pedigrees to confirm that genetic diversity actually still exists. It further confirmed a substantial loss of genetic diversity in the breed, resulting from small founder populations of about 68 individuals. The impact of focused selection for breeding dogs with specific physical traits created artificial genetic bottlenecks. I've put that. I have this in my notes of my own observations, my own thoughts. You have just there's like a fraternity that breeders pay into to participate in this fraternity of pedigreed bred dogs, but in doing so, they are creating an environment conducive to genetic bottlenecks. The vast majority of dogs that people have as pets really arrived from the Victorian era from very active breeding. There are rather few ancient breeds. There are few ancient breeds, most of them Victorian era. In Ireland, they used the old Irish Bulldog with different terriers and some insertion of hunting sighthound terrier crosses. In England, there were several varieties such as the Walsall and the Cradle Heath types. Phil Dabble reported that among the various types of bull and terriers, the types from Cradle Heath was recognized as a separate breed to be named the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Wow. So that's the origin of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier right there. In the 19th century, the Walsall type was carried by immigrants to the United States, where it served as an important component for the genetic basis of the American Pit Bull Terrier. This is what we discussed in my first live, which is that the Staffordshire Bull Terrier and the American Pit Bull Terrier come from the same dogs. They come from the same gene pool. They come from that same pool, just slightly different cups. But those, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier represents a tighter breeding than the wide variety of dogs that make up the American Pit Bull Terrier in modern terms. There's a very wide spectrum of American Pit Bull Terriers, whereas the Staffordshire Bull Terrier is more tight of a breed. Wow. Okay, and specimens such as dogs Lloyd Pilot and the Colby bloodline strongly combined with Irish strains. The anatomy of the bull and terrier is a result of selective breeding for the purposes of hunting, dogfighting, and baiting. We don't support dogfighting on this channel, but that is a part of some dogs' histories. Very quiet. Descendants. In Popular and Illustrated Dog Encyclopedia, Major Mitford Price wrote the original Bull Terrier and Bull and Terrier, as then styled, bred for fighting in the pits, bore a far closer resemblance to the bulldog of the day than to the terrier forebears. Siri, knock it off. Bed. Quiet. Quiet. No. And exists scores of old prints as evidence that the old bulldog, as well as the bull and terrier, had the unexaggerated in comparison with the absurd modern standards bulldog head, and the legs straight and longer of the terrier, at the same time that the new bull and terrier made its appearance. The bulldog fanciers began breeding their animals heavier and lower to the ground so that the bulldog acquired a new type. 6 distinct breeds descended from the bull and terrier hybrids, 5 of which were recognized by the American Kennel Club. 6. Only 1 not recognized by the American Kennel Club. In the following order: Bull Terrier, Boston Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, Miniature Bull Terrier. All 5 breeds have been recognized by the Canadian Kennel Club and the Federation, the FCI. Whoa. The FCI recognizes the American Pit Bull Terrier. You can have an American Pit Bull Terrier with FCI papers. The American Dog Breeders Association, and the Kennel Club recognizes 4 of the named breeds but does not accept the Amstaff or American Pit Bull Terrier. So the Kennel Club is the UK's Kennel Club. They're not the UK Kennel Club. We're just the Kennel Club, and they recognize. So we beat them in the Revolutionary War, but they can't accept our dogs, nor not the American Pit Bull Terrier or the Amstaff. That sounds personal. And now they're banning American Bullies and XL American Bullies. This sounds wrong to me. The Kennel Club doesn't recognize Amstaffs or American Pit Bull Terriers. Wow. All right. DNA analysis. Geneticists have been able to further refine the sparse historical aspects of breed formation in the time of hybridization. A 2017 genome research study suggests the following. In this analysis, all the bull and terrier crosses map to the terriers of Ireland and date to 1860 and 1870. So that's just mapping these genomes of these different breeds. All of them date to Ireland and 1860 and 1870. This coincides perfectly with the historical descriptions that, though they do not clearly identify all breeds involved, report that the popularity of dog contests in Ireland and the lack of stud book veracity, hence undocumented crosses during the time of breed creation. Knock it off. Bed. Lay down. All the way. Knock it off. All right. Rolling along here. Only 20 minutes into this, and I hope you've learned as much as I have. This is very exciting stuff to me, and I learned more about the origin of the American Pit Bull Terrier breed beyond just the pedigree of the dogs of today or the most notable dogs from the breed. 1860s to 1870s. Wow. I believe I've seen paintings of like the Revolutionary War that depict dogs that are very similar. It also confirms that the Bull and Terrier was a heterogeneous group of dogs that may include purebreds involving different breeds, as well as dogs believed to be crosses of those breeds. By 1874, in Britain, the first Kennel Club stud book was published, which included Bull Terriers and Bulldogs. All right. Well, Thank you for tuning into this. I hope you learned something today. I found this to be fascinating and learned a little bit more about the origin of the dogs we call pit bulls today. What might make more sense is really to stop referring to them as pit bulls and perhaps refer to them as bull bull and terriers. They are American pit bull terriers and bull terriers. They're bull terriers.